Hello, hello, and welcome. You're listening to Light Sprinkles. I'm Springulric, and I'm here to sprinkle some light along your journey, bringing you some healing tips and tools and transformation information. Things that I have used in the last 10 and a half years. Today is actually the 10 and a half year anniversary of my late husband's passing. So that's a big, awesome deal. Today is June 8th, 2020, and it is now the 10 and a half year anniversary of my late husband's passing. And I want to share with you today some of the things that I have found along my last 10 and a half years that have assisted me and served me in powerful ways to be able to spring forward in my life. And perhaps you'll find them of value too. So we'll start today with relax. Today in my journaling this morning, I asked the really powerful question that I love to ask every day at the end of my journaling, which is, what would you have me know? And in that, I found relax. Relax. Doesn't it just feel juicy? Just saying the word relax puts my body at more ease. It allows me to really get into that and remind me to actually exhale verbally in a way that releases the breath, releases the tension, releases anything that I've been stuffing or storing in the stiffness and the seriousness of the moment. And it's like with music. In my journaling, I found this morning that when I relax, it's a way of being in sync with the beat of my soul, the beat of my spirit. When I'm relaxed, I'm more in sync, I'm more in tune with my highest self. And so being relaxed allows me to really be in beat and in harmony, just like within music. When we're dancing and we're flowing, we get into that wonderful juiciness, dancing and flowing and enjoying that music, and we're really flowing and vibing with the music. It's a wonderful way to express. And when you get into that relaxed state, it's akin to music, the music of your soul. It allows the music of your soul to really be present and not be stifled or stopped. It really assists me in keeping and maintaining that flow. So I really recommend that you just take on that word and that mantra throughout the day. Relax. Just simply relax. And see how that feels throughout your day. When you find yourself starting to feel tense, or you find yourself starting to feel rushed or hurried, or feeling like you're in a bit of overwhelm or anxiety starts to creep in, whatever things start to come up for you, relax. Just to remind yourself consistently throughout the day, relax. And see if you can get into more of that dance, into the flow, into in sync with the beat of your soul. So the second thing I want to talk about, since we're talking about music and dance, is spirit dance. When my late husband passed, I've always loved to dance and do yoga anyway, and of course love music as well. And when my late husband passed, I found it very cathartic and very healing to be able to dance with music. And I could find music that was mine and my late husband's song. I could find music that was sad or that was really powerful and angry if I needed to express in that capacity, or a really sappy, sweet song. And if I really needed to cry, it allowed me to tap into those emotions and really be able to release them. So I recommend that you give that a try, and do it in a way that we're going to go on to the third step, which would be alone time. Do it in a way where you can find that alone time, whether it's you need to find tending for your children, finding that babysitter or grandma. I recommend that you create that capacity for yourself to have that safe space where no one is going to be judging your moves, not even yourself, and you can maybe do it in the dark, light a candle for yourself, or have nice dim lighting, and turn on your music and just be able to flow and move however your body needs to move and needs to express and to let out the emotions. I can't count the number of times that I would turn on music and bounce on my trampoline or bounce on my yoga ball and really get into the music and allow myself to cry. And I would be bouncing or jumping or dancing or rolling around on the floor even. And there were often times that I would be crying, really deeply crying, and maybe perhaps even crying and singing the words of the music if that was something that felt good, that needed to come up and express, and really getting deep into the music and into being able to allow the emotions the space to express and the sadness to come out and the tears to flow, and just allowing everything to come up however it needed to come up. And if you haven't tried yoga or anything like that, I highly recommend that you get yourself a yoga mat or whatever feels good to. If you have carpet, it's easy to roll around on a carpeted floor. Or get yourself a towel or blanket and lay it out, and allow yourself to be able to move on the floor in lots of different ways with the music, and just roll around and feel your body and your feet moving in different directions that you haven't maybe moved around before, and see what might feel like is stuck or needs to stretch or move in different ways. It's a really great way to release anything that our body stores, because we store a lot of emotions in different areas in our body that then can become pain points and tight muscles that can then lead to all kinds of not fun things in being able to flow and be flexible within our body. So move and dance, get that music out, relax into and let go of any expectations or any criticism about what your dance looks like, and allow it to be whatever it needs to be. Allow yourself that space to be however you need to be in that moment. And I recommend that you find the music that you really want to, that really resonates with you, so that you can really dance with that. If you need to really have a really good deep cry, find that music and put that on and just allow yourself to go there. When I had a lot of my spirit dance experiences, I would get out my hula hoop or my stretchy bands. They're really wonderful tools, especially rolling around on the ground is a really wonderful way to get your legs up in the air and get your hula hoop and rock your legs back and forth and do a lot of hip movement and stretching of your hamstrings and your legs up and back. And it's a really great way to be able to relax the muscle while you're able to really flow and maybe do circular motions with your legs in the air on the hula hoop. And you can hold the hula hoop and support your leg as it moves. And it feels really juicy and good. And be able to move your body and get things in your muscles moving. Movement and emotions, they are both, I feel like they just go hand in hand with connecting our bodies and our emotions together, because emotions, they do want to move, they want to be expressed, and our bodies want to move as well, and it's stored in our bodies, and our bodies are so intuitive. If we listen to our bodies and get out of the way and let it just move how it needs to, you'll be amazed at how intuitive your body is and how it wants to express and how creative it is in its movement, and what might come up, what ahas you might get during your spirit dance, and how it can free you and release you in so many beautiful ways. So in that third element of alone time, I highly recommend that you take that alone time and give yourself enough time. Like I said, if you need to schedule that time with, babysitters, if you're a mama or a parent, to be able to get that alone time for yourself, and enough time where you have time to be able to process what you've been through, process what you have been going through, and allow all of the rest of the day and the worries and the things that are nagging at you to be able to just slough off and slough away, so that you have time to really process and be able to dive deep and go in deep. And sometimes it can take a while if you haven't ever given yourself that time, if you're not familiar with getting to know yourself or having alone time, it can take a little bit longer to really unwind and process all in that quiet time, the things that get to come up and the things that want to move or be expressed in that spirit dance or the relaxation. And relax. Let's remember to relax. Try it on. I'm working on having that be my mantra and continuing all of my moments through that really powerful, connected, in sync with the beat of my soul. So moving the emotions in your alone time, brings us to the fourth piece that I'd like to really present to you today, which is the burning fire journaling exercise. So it's the burning fire journaling exercises is what I've just decided to call it, because you're going in the process, in the experience, what you're going to do is write out all of the grievances, any grievances that come up that you have been holding on to, whatever trauma you've experienced, whatever grief you've been through, whatever loss, whatever hurt things or betrayal you've been through, whatever has been that piece that has been holding you back or been really heavy on your heart. And perhaps it's been heavy on your heart for a long time, and that it continues to not be heard or have a voice. It can be a really powerful exercise to get a piece of paper, get a notebook if you need to. Just have that ready in case you need to write more than, or feel like you need to turn the page. But get yourself a good piece of paper and a pen and just write. Give yourself a timer if you need to get started, just to give yourself that extra, okay, for 20 minutes, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have that alone time. I'm going to let my rage, my anger, my hurt feelings, all of the upset that I have not allowed to have a voice, I haven't allowed to express, I'm going to allow it space right here, and I'm going to just let it write. I'm just going to write it out. And there's no need to criticize yourself on punctuation or writing style, handwriting. None of that matters. You just write as quickly as you can. You write whatever comes up. It doesn't matter how it looks. No one's going to read it, not even yourself. You just write, and you can write over sentences and over words, so it looks like a big scribbled mess. And you just write that out. You just get into that really deep, dark emotion, that deep, dark time where you felt betrayed, hurt, devastated, traumatized, whatever that really deep pain is for you. Be able to write that, express that, allow that piece that is still needing to express, that space to express on the page. And then you crumple it up when you're complete. And then you get to burn it and watch that transformative fire. Watch it burn in the fire with the intention that you're releasing it, that you're letting it go, and you've expressed it. You've given it a voice. You've expressed it. You've given it a voice and you've given it a place, and now the fire is transforming it and allowing it to release into the ash, into the air. It's transforming that for you so that you can really truly forgive and let go and release and move forward in a much more powerful way. And I've given this piece of information out in the last 2 days. Yesterday, I gave it to my sister who's going through a grief time herself. She's actually creating for her mother who's on her spirit walk in her last final stages of life. She's on that spirit walk and she's sewing beautifully the inside elements of the coffin for her mother. And her mom did not have a good relationship as far as mother-daughter. And it wasn't just that they had strife and tribulation. It was a very traumatic relationship, and her mother really wasn't there in the capacity that a loving mother, that we look at a loving mother to come and show up as. And in that, I've been there holding space for her and just talking to her on the phone, being there for her support. And she was recommended by her counselor to write a letter to her mom. And because there's so much pain and such there. And I told her, I said, hey, if you're going to write a letter, I said, I really recommend that you give yourself the space and the grace to allow all those pieces that have never been heard and vocalized, the space and the safety to be able to let it all out on the page. And then no one's going to read this. Your counselor's not going to say it. No one's going to read this. This isn't for anyone but you. But be able to let all of those deep, deep, dark emotions and all of the hurt, all of the betrayal, all of the deepest, darkest stuff that needs to be vocalized and have a voice, just write it out and just scribble it on the page, write over each sentence, fill the entire page, and write it however. It doesn't have to be on the line, just write it however big, scribble it, do it hard, however you need to do that on that page, and then crinkle it up and then burn it. And I just gave her that information. I said, if that works for you, try it. I highly recommend it. I've used it myself several times during my experience through the loss of my late husband. And it is a powerful tool to be able to release and let go of the experiences that are so traumatic and difficult and undesirable. So I recommend that you take that tool and try it on for yourself. I'll give you another example that I did just today with my children, with my boys. I was actually on the phone with my sister today, and I was supporting her and talking to her about how powerful the experience was for her to be able to do this writing exercise. And she was sharing with me how much better she felt and how much lighter she felt, and how she was able to write the letter to her mom in a much more healing way, in a way that was very different than if she hadn't have given herself that space and time to be able to write it and get all the bitterness and the hurt, the anger, the rage, whatever that needs to be expressed come out. And so we're having this conversation, and at the end of our conversation, we were about ready to sign off on our call anyway, but all of a sudden I hear my boys in the other room, and they're it's that mama sound that when there's upset. You know what kind of sounds are the triggers of, oh boy, I get to go in there and break this one up. There's something going on. There's a big rumble, and I got to go figure out what this is about. And so I did. And of course, my boys were into a fight, and they don't get into physical altercations very often anymore, but they'd gotten into a physical altercation, and they had, started out with teasing, and then it turned into physical. And so of course standing in the kitchen and asking them, okay, what happened here? What's going on? And I got both sides of the story, and they told me what had unfolded. And I just stood there and said, okay, well, all right, what would be an appropriate consequence here, you guys? And they were pretty silent and didn't know what to come up with. And I just did my own process with myself, and I leaned back and I said, okay, we're going to do the process here. We're going to do the GQP Ball It Life process. We're going to go through this process. I said, before we go to this process, I want you to, first you're going to write. You're going to write out all of the ways that you are hurt by your brother, that you're angry, that you're rageful, that you're mad, that you haven't felt heard, that you've felt betrayed, whatever it is, whatever anger is coming up for you right now, you're going to go and you're going to write down in the journal, and you're going to write out everything. And you're going to do it. No one's going to look at this. This is completely for you. Just scribble it on the page as quickly as you can. Write it out. And then you're going to crumple it up, and then you're going to go burn it. And they're looking at me because normally this is not the stance that mommy takes. Mommy usually says, okay, well, we're going to have a consequence, and it's going to be your game time, or, you're off for this privilege, which is usually game time because that's their most favorite and desirable thing that they love, love, love right now. So I decided to choose different today and to try something much more powerful. And it really, truly was. And so I said, after you're done with your fire burning journaling exercise, then what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to get quiet. You're going to lean back from the situation. You're going to get quiet. You're going to pause. You're going to breathe, and you're going to ask love, and you're going to do 3 deep breaths. And in those 3 deep breaths, you're going to really ask, what would love do here? How would love show up? How would love behave? How would love answer this question and resolve this? What would love do here? And then you're going to listen for the answer, and you're going to allow the answer, and you're going to trust the answer. And I said to them, and I'll say it here again, that when you trust, just like in math is like life. It's a reflection of it, that when a problem comes up, the solution in the equation is usually there. You may not know what the solution is yet. We get to perhaps figure that out and come to the answer, but the answer is already within the equation. So trusting life to have that already, that we just get to be open to hearing that, and how would love present this answer? How would love show up here? And trusting that. And then I told them, then you get to let go of the anger, let go of the negativity, let go of the hurt, let go of any negativity you have going on. And then the next part of the life is the I for imagine. Imagine your best and highest, what you truly want. Imagine your best outcome, and then intend your best and highest desired outcome. Set the intention for this is what you really want. So imagine and intend, and then get into the F for forgiveness. So you forgive and free yourself of any negativity. Forgive yourself for how you've shown up. Forgive your brother for how he's shown up. And feel the experience and feel the shift in yourself. And then you get to the E for express. Express the new emotion, the new solution. Examine the possibilities and execute that solution. So I went through that process with them of the get quiet, pause, the GQP, ball for the breathe, ask. So breathe, ask, love, listen, and then allow and trust life. So let go, imagine, intend, free yourself, and execute. Examine the possibilities and execute them. So that process was really powerful today, and it felt so good to be able to give them a powerful place to come from and a way that they could come to the solution themselves, and that I didn't have to resolve it for them. I didn't have to be the solution or the one to say this is how it's going to be. They got their consequence, which was really a gift, was that they got to go get internal, and they got to go explore why they were in the upset in the first place and release those emotions, and then decide to choose how they were going to show up in a more loving way. And I'll tell you, it worked. It worked because I asked them later when we came back together and they had gone through the process, and they both got to watch their papers that they had written, their anger, upset, their fire burning journal. They got to watch their individual pieces out in the fire pit in the backyard. They got to take and start their own piece on fire and watch it burn with the intention that they were letting it go and transforming it. And they got to go through that experience, and it was really powerful for them. So when we had our lunch, during that lunch, I asked them what they had discovered about themselves and what they had discovered about what love was to do for their resolution when they went through the GQP ball at life process. And they both came to the conclusion that they needed to spend more time together in a loving way and play more in a kinder way, and that they needed to play more games together. So their resolution was that they weren't getting enough time together, that they hadn't focused on being kind enough together. Instead, they were being snippy and trying to roast each other. So in that, they discovered about themselves how they had shown up and how they wanted to show up, and what they got to show up from there, and how they were powerfully going to move forward, in that they needed to spend more time together, they needed to play more games together, and that they needed to do so in a kind way and play together in a kind way. That was their resolution, and they got to come up with that themselves and even do it separately. And then they came to a similar conclusion that they get to play together and do more games in a kind way. So they may have discovered that they weren't spending enough time in a way that was fun together. And so they were being honored with each other. And yes, there was a little bit of a sleep deprivation from the night before involved with the experience. So they weren't necessarily showing up as their highest and best self. And they got to really look at that. So in that, I didn't have to be the one for my boys to resolve to come up with a solution. They were able to come up with a solution on their own in a powerful way. And they were able to express their feelings and come to a resolve and choose something different than they were in. Now, was there a little bit of, or maybe even a lot of sleep deprivation from their night before of gaming for too long? Yes. So they weren't necessarily showing up as their fully rested highest self. And they still got to discover and learn from their experience of how they were showing up, how they could show up better, and to forgive themselves and forgive each other. So it was a really powerful exercise today, and I really appreciated my parenting in that I didn't have to resolve it for them, and that I could give them a tool and a piece that would assist them to getting to their own resolve and facilitating that powerful experience for them. So that was really a wonderful experience for them today and for me. So I highly recommend that you take those tips hand tools into your life. Relax. Try on some spirit dance. Put on that music and have that cathartic cry dance, yoga, moving your bodies in different ways and seeing how it might want to move and how it has been stifled and hasn't moved for a while. Have that alone time. Celebrate in that alone time. Give yourself that gift of getting to know yourself, getting that unwinding, that processing time, that moving in your emotions time, that moving through the emotions and really allowing them to release, and trying on some fire burning journaling for yourself and see if those tips and tools facilitate springing forward and illuminating, sprinkling some light on your path and on your journey. I hope that this time has been valuable with me today and that you have enjoyed or found some nuggets that you can take into your life. If you have found value in this today, I would love and appreciate any comments about how this has served you and what tips and tools you're committed to trying on. I would love any feedback on how this has brought you some transformation or healed your life. And if you're finding value in this, please like, subscribe, and let me know how you're doing with the processes. And anything that you have learned or found further insight with, I would love to hear from you. So thank you again for your time and your attention and your beautiful listening ear. And I hope this has served your spirit and your soul and your life in a really illuminating and a sprinkling of light way. Spring forward in your life, my loves, and have a beautiful day. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on our next episode. Bye for now. Mwah.